Okay guys, hello and welcome to the Shinhan Tank Pro League. My name is Kix. I'm the cast, hoster and organizer of the STPL, and joining me once again today is Rapid.
That's right, it's me. Welcome back to the STPL. This is not quite the STPL, but this is going to be a Showmatch series between teams that are in the STPL and teams that theoretically will be in round 3 of the STPL coming up.
Yep, they definitely will be. So this is a set of show matches just to really introduce the teams to how the STPL works, both playtime-wise, rules-wise and everything, and also get everybody ready for their first games in just over 3 weeks. So obviously we've got the playoffs for round 2 coming up next week. There'll be another set of show matches the week after, and then from there we'll be heading on to round 3, so not too long before we get there.
Yep, that's right. I guess it does appear as if the season is going pretty quickly. There are 4 rounds. We're already almost through round 2, and like you said, starting round 3 here in not too long, about 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, so we've been doing a few show match series between some of the more notable teams. But you know, we also have teams that you know, at least I am unfamiliar with. And so tonight, it looks like we have kind of the same situation with an old familiar team that's been playing in the previous rounds, and then a new team coming in.
Yeah, now the thing about the new teams is a lot of them have been around for a while. BT started up in 2017, so not them, but the team we're going to see today have certainly been around for a very long time, and just to introduce them, it's going to be mSj, or mSj, and they have been around forever, and the reason why I know that is because I got cheesed by their players so much on IC Cup. It's unreal. So I believe they're a South American team, and they used to be pretty cheesy, but it'll be interesting to see how they do here against the more familiar team, which is going to be NetWars, who weren't supposed to be playing in the show matches because they're in the playoffs, but they stepped in for one of the other teams that couldn't show up. So good guys, NetWars, gave us a series to cast, and that's what we're going to head into today.
Yeah, good old NetWars. If there was anybody that was going to step in when we needed them the most, NetWars would definitely be them. Great organization, super passionate about basically every version of StarCraft in every way, and they've also been one of the better performing teams in the STPL over the course of this last round. They
have indeed. So let's head on over to the overlay and let's actually have a look at what maps we're going to see in this show match. So in set 1, we're going to have Icarus. Set 2, that's meant to be Plasma. Set 3, Colosseum 2. Set 4, Benzene. And set 5, Neo Ground Zero.
Quite the diverse map pool, as always, Kix. It would not be a tournament that you ran if we did not have some crazy maps in there. But I would say that compared to other rounds, this is actually pretty tame.
Yeah, it's quite conservative this time. The only majorly weird map is Plasma. And of course we're going to have a couple of other maps next, or the week after next as well, just to really show off all of them. But let's get into introduce the matchups we are going to see today. So in set 1 on Icarus, we're going to have kogeT versus Jedi 1. Set 2, Yeti versus Lamozerg. Set 3, Cat's Paw versus Tefik. And set 4 is going to be on Benzene with Radley versus Clickma.
Yeah, I don't really know exactly what to expect. I would say maybe our second match is going to be maybe our best. I'm always super excited to see Yeti and kogeT play. They've been the 2 best performing players for their teams in round 2, and so I'm excited to see kind of, you know, the old familiar faces of NetWars play off against mSj, because I have not seen them play quite as frequently.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing to just point out, Yeti and kogeT are in the top 6. Yeti taking the top position in the overall ranking of players in the STPL. Now, of course, the rankings don't matter too much today because the games don't actually count other than towards the map stats, so no wins are being recorded for the players. But it should be a good series nonetheless. So let's have a look at our first map and maybe introduce it to the people that may have not seen it so far. mSj's smaller logo isn't done yet, so they do have the white logo for now. That's just the one I used on the base overlay, but that's not too much of a problem because we're going to head on to Icarus. Now, this is a 4-player map, did spawn from the 2010 to 2011 Shinhan Bank Pro League season. And it's a pretty cool map. This is going to be the first Terran we'll see actually play on this in the STPL so far.
Yeah, I guess I didn't actually keep track of that. I think we've had mostly Protoss, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, it's a standard map that then got kind of twisted, literally, if you want to look at the middle of it. So it's not incredibly strange. There's nothing like really wacky to it, but it does give you a little bit more unique games than something like Circuit Breaker or something that's just ultra standard.
Or Torsan. Wait, it's not Torsan, is it? Yes, it is, right? Have I said that right?
You mean Ho2? Fighting Spirit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd I get Torsan from? Oh well.
I mean, you do speak a little bit of Japanese. Maybe it's in there. I don't know.
It's the word for dad for some reason. Well, not for some reason. That is the word for dad. But either way, let's head on over to our first game of the series between Jedi 1 and kogeT's Net Wars versus mSj, the Round 3 STPL Showmatch series. Let's get started. And getting us started here in the top middle position, we do have the blue Protoss fighting for mSj. It's going to be Jedi 1.
Yep, that's right. And Jedi 1's opponent in the bottom 6 o'clock position in the orange. This is kogeT, of course, playing for Net Wars.
Yeah, kogeT, of course, the captain of Net Wars, has done a great job for his team thus far. He's one of their ace players, just behind Yeti. He is 6th overall in the player rankings, and Yeti being number 1. But he hasn't been as active recently. He's just, well, he hasn't personally, but he has given birth to his, I believe, 2nd child, so he's had his hands full with that. And yeah, it's pretty cool to see him back here.
Yeah, imagine also having a life outside StarCraft. I don't know, it's a pretty big sacrifice, but yeah, kogeT kind of does it all. So see how well he kind of adjusts to being back in play competitively. Nothing too crazy going on, and it's a supply depot being built before a barracks. Always a little bit disappointing when you see that, Kix.
Yeah, but going for an 8 racks against Protoss on this map, that'd be a dangerous move.
Oh yeah, of course I just a little bit of a yuck, because of course we do not often see that, especially not from kogeT. So yeah, all I'm trying to say is standard opening from both players.
Yeah. This is one of those moments where I know, like, when you watch Tasteless and Artosis cast, they're trying to find things to say. Obviously, a little bit of a lull at the start of the game where we see both the builds sort of starting to diverge. I mean, one thing we could maybe talk about is how back in the Pro League season that this was introduced, a lot of people did used to complain about this map because it was too standard and too boring. But it's kind of gone out of favor a little bit. It's still a good map, very balanced win rates across all of the matchups in Pro League, and it should be cool to see how modern playstyles work out here on Icarus.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how modern these playstyles are going to be. I guess by virtue of it being played in the current era,
yeah,
the playstyles will be modern, but perhaps also based in previous eras as well. But let's just take a look. I mean, there's nothing, like you mentioned, there's nothing too I guess, divergent to talk about. The biggest thing probably just being that we don't have expansions up for either player, so it's not like a 1-gate expand or a 1-racks expand. We're teching up just a little bit beyond that, seeing kind of how far we can go, and kind of uniquely, both players will actually scout each other at the same time, so we're going to have kind of equal realization or equal information available to both players to kind of further even the playing field.
Yeah, but we do see the Devil Probe kicking in there for Jedi 1. He is a South American Protoss player. Now, I guess higher level foreign players as well as Koreans will probably know this as well, if they ever did play against South American Protoss in IC Cup. They can be pretty devilish with their probe. Now, admittedly, I was quite low level on IC Cup. I'm still quite low level now, but it's still very annoying to have that probe in your base, and it looks like immediately kogeT's trying to chase away with his Marine.
Well, I think this is that it is always a struggle to be at the mercy of a unit being controlled by a good player,
Yeah.
and certainly with probes and early workers, that can be something that's super frustrating. Like you never know true, just frustration than when you are like playing Brood War at a skill mismatch, because you just start to be pulled apart by all the tiny little things. Maybe it's, oh, the worker gets 1 kill. Oh, their first 2 units get 1 more kill than yours do, and then it just balloons from there. And you're
Yeah.
like, wow, so how did we get here? What went wrong along the way?
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when you do have a skill disparity, you can sit there and see pretty much everything. I know that's one of my major problems when I look at my games, and the weird thing is, in this case, like, obviously, where we've casted so much STPL, over the past 6 months, we've learned a lot about the players, a lot about their styles, but
And
Jedi...
about each other, Kicks.
Yep, we certainly have. You've also learned a lot about English suites and things like that, so I'd say that's a benefit for you, or possibly maybe a detriment, I'm not too sure.
Well, perhaps the largest benefit to me. I mean, the Brood War and the casting and the getting to know each other is great, but like, let's just be real, man. The Jaffe Cakes are kind of, they're way up there.
Yeah, they sealed the deal at the end of the day. You're ready to quit Brood War casting until you heard about Jaffa Cakes. Now you're all in.
All I'm trying to say is Mr. Kipling's coming through, saving esports one Jaffe Cake at a time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I should tell you that Mr. Kipling's doesn't make Jaffa Cakes.
Do I care who makes them? No. Do I care how quickly I can place them in my body? Yes, that's much more significant. Now, trying to run by the bunker up the ramp, but look at this SCV blocking. I mean, this is like Artosis level confounding. Very good block there on the ramp, and all of a sudden tragedy strikes Kick. So those Dragoons are kind of forced out of the main. They're still going to get quite a few SCV kills, so at least that is the moral victory.
This is one big thing about this map that doesn't... I mean, I didn't really mention before, there's a lot of space behind the natural, and you can see the Dragoons, they're really making use of that. Are they going to get the tank? Yes,
here?
they are! And kogeT's taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, one of the tanks just didn't do anything. It was just like, well, I'm just going to walk over here. By walk, I mean, I guess roll on its treads. And that is kind of a disaster. Now...
the Dragoon's still alive? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, okay. Nice caster curse there, Kicks. Yeah, that Dragoon went on a little bit of an adventure, got a view of the main, but didn't see the armory coming down, so it won't totally know what to expect. But even still, that's a lot of damage from just 2 Dragoons. To be able to get back there, get several SCV kills, get a tank kill. I mean, this is just, like I said, a whole lot to expect from just 2 units.
Yeah, now one thing I will say is somewhere in Korea, I'm not sure where Artosis lives, he is tossing and turning in his bed right now because he senses that there is going to be a DT drop coming in from Jedi 1.
Yeah, if this would happen to anyone, it would be Artosis. But, thankfully he is all tucked in bed. I, left him. I said goodnight. I read him his favorite Terran macro bedtime story, and then came over here to cast STPL. And so, thankfully, he is protected from Protoss shenaniganry like this, but unfortunately for kogeT, he is maybe not quite so protected. We'll see if he's able to kind of suss out what's coming his way as he sends his first 2 vultures out on the map to kind of see what's up.
Yeah, he does have the scanner, but of course he is only going to have about 2, maybe 3 scans when this drop eventually comes in.
Yeah.
And as
and when it's DTs and you spend your last scan to scout the DTs, you're like, oh, okay, I can see what's about to kill me right now. So maybe not the greatest usage there.
Interestingly, Jedi 1 built a shield battery at the front of his base. I think he's wary about vultures coming in, and he wants to keep his Dragoons alive as long as possible. But I mean, it's only going to be 2 vultures here. They don't have mines just yet. He did actually opt to go for speed first, which is kind of interesting as well.
So I was guessing maybe he's trying to go for speed and then sneak by. A lot of times you can like run by because they're just so fast. But the other thing is like the shield battery is also protecting against like, well, what if this were just like, a whole bunch of tanks coming across the map and then you've lost your first 2 Dragoons. How do you deal with that?
Okay, so he's scouted the shuttle, he knows there's going to be a shuttle heading to his base, and he's immediately building a turret in his mineral line. I'm not sure if the scan did catch the DTs before, but this is such an important moment for kogeT. If he holds this drop, he is going to be very, well, He's going to be quite far ahead tech-wise, at least. He's going to be in a good position as well. But we do see Jedi 1 taking a third base behind this very, very quickly.
All right, turret going to work on the shuttle.
Oh!
Oh, it does get one DT off, but the DT was dropped in range of the turret. So the jig as they stay, kicks is up. The DT goes down, the shuttle goes down, the Dragoon will go down, and this is like basically the most perfect hold here for kogeT.
Yeah, kogeT got so fortunate there with the fact the shuttle went back towards the turret for whatever reason.
Yeah,
But
I don't know what was up with that. You know how if you put an observer over top of a turret that's building, it glitches out the turret, and you're like, haha, I have exploited this turret. It was like trying to do that, but like I don't think anybody told the shuttle driver that, you know, like it doesn't really work if you're a shuttle and you're carrying.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was trying to do a little loop-de-loop, but yeah, it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but the good thing is we do have kogeT now with a good position. He's going to get his second armory fairly quickly. Once again, able to take his command center at the location of the expansion. He has absolutely nothing to worry about now. Now, with some Terrans, you'll see them suddenly add 4 factories on now and just go push, but kogeT's a little bit more conservative. He's happy to play the later game, and that looks like exactly what he's going for. He's going into a lot of tanks now, and he's slowly building up a position outside of his third.
Yeah, it should be noted that I don't believe, actually, so when the shuttle flew in, it did see just only the 2 factories that are here. So a lot of times as Terran, you're not going to just build half your factories one place and then the other half of the factories another place. You're kind of going to want to get that aesthetic Sim City going on. So if you only see 2 factories, chances are that's all there are. So Jedi 1 does actually know kind of, hey, I don't have to worry about some like big Ultra Doom push coming across the map.
Yeah, now one thing kogeT did do there is he scanned every bit of tech in the main just to see if there was anything that he'd missed. He saw the gateway count as well. Didn't see the Stargate, but realistically this is the next sort of step here for Jedi 1 after his Templar Archives going into that Arbiter tech. And Arbiter's quite good on this map. There's a lot of airspace around the mains.
Yep, either you would go for the Arbiter tech, or you would try to tech up to something like carriers. And yeah, if you're going to go for that kind of heavy scan all your opponent's tech and you don't see a fleet beacon or something like that, well, you know, you're probably either the most unlucky person in the world or he's just going for Arbiters.
Yeah, looks like we're going to have Jedi 1 push out into the middle of the map if he can. Going to try and take down some of these mines, but he is going to be running into a lot of sieged up tanks. And then you're on a +1 attack already, so he needs to be careful.
Yeah, this is exactly what you're supposed to do as Protoss. You want to push up, keep the Terran kind of honest, but also like this is not necessarily like an aggressive move by Jedi 1. This is also kind of like a way to poke out and kind of see, okay, well, where is the Terran on the map? Because if you try to poke out and you see, uh-oh, my Terran player's already like past the halfway point, then you got to kind of go into crisis mode because the push is coming faster than you expected. But I think Jedi 1 should actually be pretty happy about the way that things are going. I mean, yeah, the Terran's on 3 bases, but he's not really being threatened right now until, you know, maybe a few more upgrades kick in.
Yeah, now the Arbiter Tribunal is on its way up. Whether or not he goes for recall or stasis first is going to be very important. Now, one thing to note as well, Jedi 1, after losing his opening gambit, which was that shuttle with the DTs, is actually quite not as far ahead as he could be at this point. That's probably a better way of putting it, but we see that he's going to try and take a 4th base. Now, the one benefit for him is these bases are quite far off to the edge, but kogeT is finally starting to move out in the middle of the map and put some mines down, which is going to be very important for him to try and stop A, the Protoss expanding, and B, just give him a little bit of extra map vision.
Yeah, so an attempted expanding to the upper left-hand corner is thwarted because even though the pylon wall was down, there's a vulture that was already sat right there, kills off the probe and really further delays this expo. So the idea for Jedi 1 is he wants to like push out and expand behind that, but he's not able to because that sneaky vulture killed his probe. So now he has to send an entire other probe out there, and yeah, it's just really going to delay that. And as Protoss in general, you never want to be on even bases as Terran. You always want to kind of be one up or just expanding away from them, and neither one of those things are happening right now for Jedi 1, and I mean, we are already set on 2-2 on the way for Mech.
Yeah, now Zealot Legs has finally finished, so that's going to make the Zealots a lot better against these Vultures. Obviously, they do take a lot of damage from them. But still, Gedo One's in a pretty good position. He has a nice sort of contingent of Dragoons sat outside the front there, just killing any Vultures trying to get by, and there is some cannons at both additional bases now, so going to be a little bit harder for those Vultures to do what they want, but kogeT is slowly starting to encroach his way on the map. He's got his third base up and fully mining, and he's in a very, very good position to sit until he gets 2-1, which is just finished, and then try and take a big engagement a little bit later on.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that it's not 2-2 that's on the way, it's 2-3 that's on the way for upgrades. This is a 3-gas Terran player who has 3 full bases. Also, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mineral patches in the main. I didn't actually realize that. That is very significant on Icarus, because that just means you can sit on your bases for just kind of a while. And realistically, until this Arbiter tech really kicks in, you have to worry about recalls. You're pretty solid.
Yeah, and I just counted there's 10 factories already for kogeT. That is a lot of factories right now.
Oh my god.
And one problem...
No Protoss player wants that number of factories to be possible.
Yeah, now one problem is as well with Jedi 1 is, of course, he only has one main. He doesn't have any additional mains, so it's going to be harder to build the gateways to really come in for the flanks that he needs. And kogeT looks like he's going to make a pretty textbook push here through the middle, going to make use of the new Gettysburg Spaceport and Blizzard signs to really try and funnel the units through, but it looks like Jedi 1 is pulling back. And here we go.
Plenty of scans up, so these Arbiters, the cloak is not going to be as useful, but it's mostly just going to allow the entire arc of Protoss to descend on to kogeT's army. This is actually a very beautiful engagement. Look at those storms kicks. Oh my god. Jedi 1 just manhandling this Terran army, even with incredible upgrades. Jedi 1 is just better. Those storms, the arcs. Am I complimenting a Protoss player's tactical engagements kicks?
It's almost like we're watching the spirit of Jangbi with that engagement. Like that was the perfect spread on his units for the middle of Icarus, and it paid off. But there is a lot of Terran units in reserve.
Yeah, much like the spirit of Jangbi, it looks great until it plays against a Terran player, and then it loses. So the struggle of Jangbi fans everywhere is that eventually you meet Terran players in the semifinals of tournaments and never quite make it all the way. But either way, yeah, that was a great engagement to start with, but I feel like Jedi 1 may have overstayed his welcome just a little bit, and eventually, yeah, this just mech, 2-3 mech just piling out is really gonna... you're gonna struggle to deal with that. Even though the upgrades are now completed with 1-2 completed for the Protoss. I mean, the macro is just not there, like you said, not being able to produce out of gateways and other mains. It's all just coming from one place, and that place is being heavily besieged by this big Terran army.
Yeah, this is one of the major problems Protoss players have, and one of the major reasons they do go for that second main oh so quickly. It's very important that you have multiple mains to funnel your units in from behind. And without good usage of recall here, there's not really too much the Jedi 1's going to be able to do. It looks like the Vultures did try and jump in to get the High Templar, and they get it. That's a big, big maneuver to a Protoss that's already in a very tight spot.
Yeah, I mean, storms are basically the lifeblood of the Protoss player. It's why you are able to hold on or not. Okay, trying to get a Mind Drag off. Actually does get the Zealots all the way in the back. The Zealots on top of the tanks are going to do a really good job, though. Needs to target down this missile turret, but it's actually not going to. Either way, these DTs are actually doing a number, clearing out the tanks and really opening up this natural to give some breathing room to Jedi 1.
The final shot goes down on the natural expansion, and that's going to be a lot of dead probes, but big Mind Drags could be possible, but he's going to Mind Drag his own probes. There we go.
Yeah, I don't know if that's where you want to send your probes to transfer to. Yeah, that is quite a few dead probes, and all of a sudden this opens up a 70 supply lead for kogeT, who not only kills the natural, but kills quite a few other workers along with it.
Yeah, and you can see Jedi 1 is desperately trying to get more and more Zealots out to deal with this army. There's not actually that many Vultures in reserve, but there's still a lot of mines. And finally we do have an Arbiter, but there is a turret, so it's not as effective as it could be.
Certainly not. I mean, inevitably, this is still going to push through. I mean, pylons are only so good defensively, Kicks.
Yeah.
There's an attempt at, maybe trying to back. Okay, no, it's just a Zealot scouting around there. I thought that was like an Arbiter trying to fly in for a recall, but no, there's actually not even any troops to recall. Jedi 1 is just desperately trying to hang on.
Yeah, I mean, Jedi 1's done a valiant effort. He had a great engagement here against kogeT, but kogeT is the strongest player in Poland, arguably, and one of the strongest foreign Terran players right now. And you're really seeing the result of all of kogeT's training, all of his tournament games as well. He is just in a perfect position over Jedi 1's base, and this is just too many units for poor Jedi 1 to have to be able to deal with.
I mean, Jedi 1, you ever heard that that dubstep song by DR or Doctor, I Keep Holding On?
I don't think I've heard the song, but...
Okay, well, I'll link it in chat.
I can tell
everybody else that wants to. It's like brain power if you've ever heard that one. But anyway, this is the song that exemplifies what Taiwan is doing. He does keep holding on, but for how long? I mean, this is 3-3 mech coming at him, or 2-3. I guess the third upgrade is not quite completed. But the idea is it's still insanely strong, and it's got a berth in the natural. And this is just like that friend that's down on their luck and needs to come stay with you for a while. Once it's there, it's hard to get rid of.
Yeah, and I mean, he's done his best to make, like, he's not even fully cleared up the units outside of his front, and there is a big conga line of Terran mechs, 3-3 upgrades, or 3-2 still. Actually, I don't think he is about to finish 3-3, but there we go. I mean, he's done his best to clean the small amount of units at the front, but there's even more coming in. Jedi 1 still doesn't want to give up. kogeT hasn't actually managed to push into the third base of DT. Did kill everything there, but H is called. GG!
Good aim. No, it was a good game. The H key, of course, right next to the G key, and wow, yeah, really impressive. That initial engagement by Jedi 1 looked beautiful. That's just hard to do, and to have an engagement that good and then still lose that, quite the testament to the power of Terran Mech and kogeT, of course, just being a good player. Able to macro off 3 bases for just a little bit too long, and Jedi 1 taps out. So that'll give Net Wars the early 1-0 lead in its STPL Showmatch series.
It will indeed. Now, I'm hosting up the next replay, so when you're ready, if you pop in, and we're going to head into our second game after this short intro. So see you guys very